The fashion landscape is rapidly changing, and some iconic brands are sadly closing their doors. From household names to smaller, beloved labels, these closures reflect the challenges faced by the industry today. Stay tuned as we uncover the reasons behind these shutdowns, discussing the impact of shifting consumer preferences, economic struggles, and increased competition in the market. Whether it's a brand you grew up with or one you've only recently discovered, we're taking a deep dive into their stories and what led to their closure. If you find this content insightful and want to stay updated on similar stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more content on the trends and changes shaping the industries we care about. Let's get started. 1. Banana Republic. Banana Republic, once a staple in the mid-tier fashion market, is facing a devastating decline. The announcement to close 50% of its North American stores by 2025 signifies a significant downfall for the brand, which has struggled to maintain a foothold in the fast-evolving retail landscape. Despite attempts to reinvigorate its offerings, the brand has largely failed to stay relevant in a digital-first era. The shift towards online shopping and changing consumer expectations have drastically impacted Banana Republic's ability to retain loyal customers. Over the years, its pivot toward premium positioning alienated the very audience that once flocked to its stores, with higher-priced items failing to meet expectations or appeal to a broader demographic. Adding to these struggles, the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the decline of physical retail locations by crippling foot traffic in malls and urban shopping districts. Banana Republic's inability to adapt to these challenges has left its store count dwindling at an alarming rate. This once celebrated brand, which balanced approachable style and affordability, now finds itself on the brink of irrelevance as competitors leverage digital platforms and dynamic marketing strategies. The closures mark a sad turning point for a brand that shaped wardrobes for generations, and it acts as a grim reminder of how unpreparedness to evolve in the face of technological and cultural shifts can spell doom for even the most recognized names in fashion. 2. Express. Express, a mall retail staple for decades, is another brand that has reached a crisis point due to the combined pressures of consumer behavior shifts and financial mismanagement. The decision to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection reveals the magnitude of its struggles. With plans to close 95% of its physical stores, Express is drastically shrinking its retail footprint in an attempt to salvage its identity and transition to a more sustainable, e-commerce-focused model. However, these store closures mark the end of the brand's mall dominance, a position it held confidently for years. Express's downfall can be attributed to its inability to keep up with the fast fashion trends popularized by brands like Zara and H&M. Mounting debt and difficulty refreshing its collections to match evolving preferences have left it lagging behind competitors. The brand failed to connect with younger audiences who value affordability, agility, and designs that reflect current cultural moments. Furthermore, the rapid rise of online shopping placed an extra burden on Express, which was slow to prioritize digital platforms and engage customers through innovative technology. The closures reflect a broader collapse, as the brand fights to remain relevant in an industry where consumer loyalty has noticeably eroded. While Express may maintain an online presence, the sweeping closure of its stores feels like the beginning of the end for a once prominent name. 3. Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret, a name that was once synonymous with glamour and desirability, is now battling to recover from years of eroding public trust and relevance. With over 250 stores set to close in 2025, the brand continues to shutter locations at an alarming rate. The closures stem from a significant cultural shift in beauty standards and the perception of femininity, one that Victoria's Secret was tragically late to adopt. At its height, the brand's identity was built on narrow, unattainable beauty ideals that celebrated exclusivity rather than inclusivity. But as the cultural conversation shifted toward body positivity and diversity, the refusal to evolve alienated customers who sought representation in the brands they supported. For years, Victoria's Secret remained complacent, clinging to its outdated marketing campaigns and failing to recognize that its audience was demanding inclusivity. This lack of foresight strikes at the heart of why perhaps one of the most iconic lingerie brands in the world is rapidly losing ground. While competitors embraced inclusivity and celebrated every body type, Victoria's Secret remained entrenched in a dated image that felt increasingly out of place in modern discourse. 2025 closures mark an ominous turning point for the brand. Despite attempts to rebrand and modernize in recent years, the damage seems irreversible for a name that once effortlessly dominated the lingerie market. The closures serve as a wake-up call, underlining the necessity for brands to keep pace with cultural and consumer-driven change. 4. J.Crew. J.Crew, once a staple of American fashion, delivering preppy, upscale styles for decades, now finds itself on the verge of extinction. Declaring bankruptcy in 2020 was a significant red flag, signaling deep-rooted issues that the brand failed to address in time. Their inability to strike a balance between premium pricing and the value-conscious consumer in today's fast-paced retail environment was a key misstep. While J.Crew aimed to maintain its identity as a premium brand, it underestimated the disruptive force of fast fashion companies such as Zara and H&M, which offered trend-driven styles at a fraction of the price. The brand struggled to justify its pricing model to customers, who now had cheaper alternatives without compromising on style. Another direct consequence of their declining relevance was their dwindling audience. J.Crew lost loyalty from its core customer base, who gradually felt disconnected from the brand. Once synonymous with timeless quality, the collections became lackluster and uninspiring to younger generations, failing to attract new shoppers, while their traditional customer base moved on to competitors. This double bind resulted in shrinking revenue and forced the company to reassess its long-term strategy. Reports that J.Crew plans to shut down all physical stores by 2026 confirm that the road forward is bleak. This decision not only highlights the rapid transformation of retail into an online-first model, but also serves as a warning of how a legacy brand, once a household name, can falter when it fails to evolve alongside customer expectations. J.Crew's downfall is a sobering example of what happens when a storied retailer loses its grip on innovation and misreads market trends. 5. Dress Barn. The closure of Dress Barn after over 50 years of operation is another striking loss in the fashion world, particularly for women seeking affordable professional attire. This brand, long associated with accessible and staple fashion for working women, has fallen victim to irreparable shifts in the industry. The emergence of powerful online retailers such as Amazon and burgeoning e-commerce platforms proved to be insurmountable competition for Dress Barn, which struggled to modernize its approach. Despite its rich history and commitment to affordable options, the brand failed to pivot effectively toward online retail while maintaining the in-store shopping experience that had been its hallmark. The changing workplace dress codes have also worked against Dress Barn. With the pandemic shifting much of the global workforce to remote work and more casual office attire becoming acceptable, the need for traditional workwear products significantly declined. This loss of relevance in the modern consumer's wardrobe left Dress Barn grasping at straws. The decision to shutter all physical locations not only marks the end of an era, but also signals a devastating blow to the thousands of employees left without jobs. The ripple effect of Dress Barn's closure extends beyond fashion and retail. It impacts entire communities and underscores just how unforgiving the current retail landscape can be to well-established brands that fail to remain competitive. 6. Forever 21. Forever 21, once iconic for its expansive stores and affordable, trendy apparel, continues to face a slow yet painful decline. Emerging from bankruptcy in 2020, many hoped the brand would recuperate and regain its footing in the retail space. However, the reality paints a very different picture as the company faces yet another round of closures. Forever 21 has already seen a massive contraction, reducing its store count from over 800 locations to just a small fraction today. What went wrong for a brand that was once considered a go-to for teenagers and young adults on a budget? The company's rapid expansion strategy, undoubtedly ambitious, proved to be its Achilles heel. By opening sprawling retail locations worldwide too quickly, Forever 21 overextended itself, accruing high operational costs that became unsustainable when sales began declining. Additionally, it faced fierce competition from ultra-fast fashion brands like Shein and Fashion Nova, which managed to outpace Forever 21 at its own game. These competitors not only accelerated their production cycles but also leveraged their online platforms with razor-sharp precision, allowing them to react to trends far quicker than Forever 21 could. At the heart of the issue was the brand's failure to adapt wholeheartedly to e-commerce, which now dominates the retail landscape. Forever 21's reluctance to modernize its digital presence cost it dearly, resulting in a dwindling customer base that preferred the convenience, variety, and aggressive pricing tactics of competitors. While the brand once stood as a pioneer in keeping up with fast-changing fashion trends, it now struggles to remain relevant. The prospect of further closures diminishes consumer faith and raises doubts about whether Forever 21 can survive in the long term. Without a significant shift in business strategy, Forever 21's story may soon serve as another cautionary tale of a giant brought down by an inability to evolve. 7. Men's Wearhouse. The closure of hundreds of Men's Wearhouse locations marks a seismic shift in the retail landscape, particularly for a brand once synonymous with men's formal wear. The parent company's bankruptcy sent shockwaves through the fashion industry, signaling the end of an era for one of America's most iconic retailers. What led to this devastating downfall? The pandemic, which significantly accelerated the decline of formal office attire, played an undeniable role. With remote work becoming the norm and companies adopting casual dress codes, The demand for suits and formal wear plummeted, leaving Men's Wearhouse in the lurch. The infamous slogan, "You're going to like the way you look," is now at risk of becoming just a nostalgic footnote. For decades, the brand earned loyalty through its promise of affordable and dependable formal wear, often tailored to perfection. However, this legacy offering proved ill-equipped to contend with rapidly evolving consumer preferences. Wearing ties, blazers, and suits became a fading practice, as society at large leaned into sweatpants and hybrid wardrobes. Without a robust pivot toward casual wear, Men's Wearhouse found itself battling irrelevance in a world where Zoom shirts and stretch fabrics now reigned supreme. Adding fuel to the fire, market competition from fast fashion giants and online platforms further eroded what was left of Men's Wearhouse's foothold. The lack of a strong e-commerce strategy hindered its ability to successfully transition during a time when shoppers demanded convenience above all else. Even attempts at introducing modern designs and store updates came too late to stave off the unavoidable. The closures reflect not just one company's struggle, but the end of the golden age of formal retail. The brand, which embodied professionalism and poise for decades, faces a precarious road ahead. H&M. Once a powerhouse in the fast fashion world, H&M's decision to close hundreds of stores globally is a dire signal of the challenges facing brick-and-mortar businesses. Even flagship U.S. locations have not been spared in this consolidation effort, underlining the volatile nature of modern retail. Having pioneered the trendy yet affordable model, H&M's downfall is tied to glaring missteps in inventory management, sluggish adaptation to online shopping trends, and cutthroat competition from digital-first retailers. For years, H&M's business model thrived on rapidly churning out collections that kept customers coming back to stores season after season. However, the cracks in this system began to show when inventory started piling up faster than it could be sold. Overproduction and a reliance on the in-store shopping experience became an Achilles heel in the age of e-commerce, where shoppers prioritized selection, speed, and convenience. Customers moved on to platforms boasting better pricing, superior technology, and sustainability promises that aligned with modern values. H&M's sluggish digital transformation left it scrambling behind competitors that grew nimbly. Further compounding the issue was H&M's late push towards sustainability initiatives. By the time marketing campaigns around recycling programs and conscious collections rolled out, customers had already shifted their loyalties to competitors perceived as more genuinely eco-friendly or transparent. It didn't matter that the company had started to address its environmental footprint, the effort appeared reactive, not proactive. The store closures transcend economics. They symbolize a reckoning for an entire business ethos that failed to keep pace with evolving consumer ethics. Even with online sales providing some cushion, H&M remains in survival mode, and the store closures serve as loud alarms for the wider industry. 9. American Eagle Outfitters, ARE. Once a go-to for trendy Gen Z fashionistas and millennials, American Eagle Outfitters, including their ARE brand, is now facing the same grim reality as its retail counterparts. The decision to consolidate its physical presence and shutter numerous mall locations by the end of 2025 is a harsh, calculated response to the changing dynamics of retail shopping. Given the undeniable success of their online operations, these closures may not signal a total retreat, but they highlight the waning dominance of traditional malls as centers of shopping culture. For years, American Eagle and Aerie had solidified themselves as staples in mall-centric casual wear, promoting everything from jeans to intimate apparel. However, the broader decline of malls, aggravated by the pandemic's aftereffects, has eaten away at foot traffic, forcing the brand to rethink its approach. The pivot toward digital-first operations demonstrates agility, but it comes at the cost of hundreds of jobs and local retail ecosystems that were once kept afloat by their physical stores. Interestingly, while online sales remain Aerie's lifeline, the brand also faces steep competition in the digital sphere from rapidly emerging niche brands and influencers selling directly to their audiences. The digital landscape is overcrowded, and standing out requires relentless innovation, which demands capital and resources. Closing stores allows the brand to redirect focus and investment toward the online shopping experience. Yet it also raises questions about the accessibility and connection that physical shopping provides. Will the brand lose its loyal, in-person fan base as it pulls back from a direct retail presence? 10. Brooks Brothers. Brooks Brothers, a name synonymous with American menswear and timeless elegance, has sadly found itself on the list of clothing brands shutting down forever. With a history spanning over 2 centuries, this iconic brand couldn't withstand the dual challenges of shifting workplace fashion trends and the devastating economic impact of the pandemic. Once heralded for dressing powerful business leaders and even U.S. presidents, Brooks Brothers struggled as professional attire leaned increasingly toward casual wear in recent years. The demand for classic suits and formal clothing plummeted, creating a significant decline in their primary customer base. The pandemic only expedited the brand's downfall. Store closures, economic uncertainty, and a lack of demand during remote working environments left little room for recovery. Brooks Brothers filed for bankruptcy and began shuttering most of its stores, leaving a sizable gap in the American retail landscape. While the brand plans to maintain a limited presence via department store partnerships and online channels, the age-old tradition of stepping into a Brooks Brothers store and experiencing its luxury products firsthand is now a thing of the past. This marks the end of an era as one of the most respected names in formal fashion succumbs to unrelenting market pressure. 11. Lucky Brand Jeans. Lucky Brand Jeans, once a favorite among denim aficionados for its vintage-inspired aesthetic, has also fallen victim to the forces reshaping the retail market. Known for their distinctive designs and high-quality craftsmanship, Lucky Brand carved out a niche in the denim market. However, their downfall was swift and unsparing, driven by increased competition from more affordable and trend-responsive labels. Fast fashion brands offering low-cost, stylish alternatives made it increasingly difficult for traditional mid-tier denim brands like Lucky to stay afloat. The financial strain became unbearable, particularly during the pandemic. With customers prioritizing comfort and affordability during uncertain times, the demand for premium denim declined sharply. Lucky Brand ultimately filed for bankruptcy and announced the closure of all standalone stores, a devastating blow to longtime fans of its unique styling. While the intellectual property associated with the brand has been acquired by another company, the Lucky Brand Jeans legacy, as it was once known, will cease to exist. For denim enthusiasts, this marks the tragic end of a brand that stood out for blending trend-conscious designs with enduring quality. 12. Francescas. Francescas offered a shopping experience that many customers could only describe as charming and one-of-a-kind. The boutique-style retailer was celebrated for its curated collections, frequently updated inventory, and intimate store layouts that evoked a personal, neighborhood shop feel. Unfortunately, Francescas was no match for the seismic shift toward online shopping, which severely hampered traditional retail models during the pandemic. The inability to replicate the magic of its in-store experience in an e-commerce format hastened the brand's decline. After filing for bankruptcy, Francescas made the heartbreaking decision to close all of its physical locations. This was a significant loss not only for loyal customers, but also for smaller-scale, approachable boutique retailers in general. While the brand intends to continue as an online entity, it will no longer represent what it once was, a haven for discovery, surprise, and warmth in a crowded retail market. The departure of Francescas from shopping malls and streets across the country is another painful reminder of how retail giants and indie brands alike are struggling to adapt in the face of an evolving consumer landscape. 13. Chico's, including Wearhouse Black Market. The retail industry has witnessed a monumental shift, with even established names like Chico's and its subsidiary Wearhouse Black Market unable to withstand the changing tides. Chico's, once a staple for women seeking timeless and sophisticated apparel, is dramatically reducing its retail footprint. The decision to close hundreds of stores is not just a routine restructuring, it's a cry for survival in an increasingly unforgiving market. This decline highlights the brand's struggle to attract younger customers, a goal that has remained elusive despite their efforts to modernize. Fashion trends are dynamic, and Chico's failure to adapt quickly enough has alienated newer generations who now flock to fast fashion brands or online retailers offering trendier, more affordable options. Chico's legacy as a mainstay of women's specialty retail is being unraveled, leaving behind empty storefronts and a loyal but aging customer base. The closures point to a sobering truth about the retail landscape. Brands that fail to innovate are no longer immune to failure. The ripple effects of Chico's decline extend beyond its loyal customer base. The closures signal a sharp turning point for women's specialty retail as a whole, once a booming segment catering to niche customer groups. The fact that Chico's iconic Wearhouse Black Market stores are also on the chopping block underscores the pressures even seemingly strong offshoots face within a sinking parent company. Wearhouse Black Market's elegant, monochromatic designs appealed to style-conscious professionals for decades, but that appeal has waned in today's fast-pacing, Instagram-driven fashion world, where individuality and vibrancy dominate. The urgency of Chico's downsizing plan casts a grim spotlight on the broader challenges in retail, where evolving consumer habits and digital disruption are destroying traditional business models. 14. Lord & Taylor. Lord & Taylor's complete shutdown after nearly 2 centuries in business is nothing short of a monumental loss for the American retail landscape. This is not just another department store closure. It is the end of an institution, a brand steeped in history and tradition dating back to 1826. For 194 years, Lord & Taylor cemented itself as a beacon of elegant shopping, catering to the refined tastes of middle and upper-class American shoppers. Its iconic Fifth Avenue flagship store in New York City became a hallmark of prestige and luxury. Yet even this storied pedigree couldn't save the brand from the relentless forces reshaping retail. Digital shopping became the new norm, and Lord & Taylor failed to find its footing as it struggled to adapt to online platforms and keep pace with the generation of consumers increasingly drawn to the convenience of e-commerce and the allure of fast fashion. Closing its doors for good is a brutal reminder of how unrelenting the retail apocalypse has been for even the most established brands. The economic toll of the pandemic further hastened its downfall, but Lord & Taylor's challenges predated COVID-19. Poor digital strategy and the inability to innovate quickly enough left the iconic retailer vulnerable. A stark contrast to its competitors who embraced transformation. The void left by its departure will be deeply felt, not only by longtime shoppers, but by the retail industry as a whole, as it marks a definitive end of an era. Lord & Taylor isn't just a casualty of the modern retail landscape. It is a cautionary tale of how even nearly 2 centuries of history cannot ensure safety from extinction in today's market. 15. Topshop. Topshop's closure of all U.S. locations represents a dramatic fall from grace for a brand that once stood as a fashion powerhouse. Entering the U.S. market with much fanfare, Topshop initially succeeded in captivating consumers with its chic, trend-forward offerings that combined runway-inspired styles at accessible price points. The brand was heralded as a disruptor, offering a fresh alternative to traditional American fast fashion retailers. Yet, even this glowing start could not save Topshop from its ultimate failure to plant sustainable roots in the competitive U.S. market. While major cities like New York and Los Angeles embraced Topshop's edgy, urban aesthetic early on, the brand overextended itself too soon without securing a solid foundation for long-term success. The rapid shift toward online shopping and the influx of competitors further contributed to Topshop's decline. Unlike digital Nenic brands that effectively leveraged e-commerce, Topshop's integration between physical stores and online platforms faltered. The failure to address logistical challenges and the inability to maintain a seamless customer experience put the brand at a disadvantage. Additionally, Topshop's broad appeal ultimately worked against it. Lacking a clearly defined target audience, it was neither affordable enough to dominate fast fashion nor exclusive enough to retain premium buyers. This inability to cater to a distinct demographic accelerated its downfall. The acquisition of Topshop's intellectual property by ASOS may preserve its name in the digital sphere, but the physical stores, once a symbol of the brand's ambitious expansion into the U.S., will vanish entirely. Topshop's departure from the U.S. is a significant loss for retail culture, but it also highlights the risks of over-reliance on a global footprint without a clear and sustained strategy for local markets. Unlike its whirlwind success in the UK, the US proved to be an insurmountable challenge. Its exit underscores the importance of adaptability and targeted marketing in today's highly competitive industry. Topshop's story is a potent lesson in the perils of rapid expansion without fully understanding or responding to local market dynamics.